Yeah, and I think it's so important, and it actually brought up a few questions for myself, like can you self-question too much? Is there a limit here? Could there ever be something negative that comes out of questioning yourself too much?
You know, I think so for some of us, but eventually, um, I just wanted to know the truth. I didn't want to get wise or smart or learn how to do life better. I wanted to know what's true. So when I ask, is it true? As you obviously experience, it's a real question. It's not, I'm just going to question and the pain's going to end. Question, the pain's going to, it's not like that.
Hmm.
This is waking up to our true nature and the
Every
true
day.
nature of everything. And um, and to sit in, is it true? Someone like they don't care about me, for example, to sit in that, is it true? Just that one question I might meditate in for who knows, 30 minutes, an hour. I'm in no hurry because I understand that what meets that question, I'm not going to manipulate. And a lot of tears can come of that. It's a strange world to witness a shift in identity and the way taking one's time in it is to grow. It's not to grow fast.
Hmm.
It's to grow. And and that's an an open mind that growing is an extension of oneself and it's without limit. And it's just a brilliant way to live. I think it was Einstein that, or some great thinker said, an unquestioned life isn't worth living. And I've certainly
Mm.
come to understand that.
Well, and I love that you call it the work, right? Instead of the pill or,
The
you know,
Mhm.
solution, or
it's,
right.
I think we've become so adept at society of thinking, well, I'll just take a pill and all of these problems will go away, or I'll drink,
Mhm.
I'll have my martini or a glass of wine. But,
Yeah, it's
freedom and
the
truth
work
doesn't
is
come from
such
that.
an unappealing thing to call it, but I couldn't name it. Um, I couldn't, what name can you put on that inquiry? But how can you distinguish it? The work, I had no name for it. And and it was my work, but
Hmm.
I couldn't call it mine when something is valuable, it belongs to all of us.
Byron, that I love that you say that. Then when we have uncomfortable thoughts or feelings, it's question it. Don't run from it, don't avoid it. What is the importance of questioning thoughts like that?
Well, you can do it on the run, but as a practice to really sit in, what I invite people to do is every morning, fill in a judge a neighbor worksheet and sit in at least one thought or assumption on the sheet. And might take you a month to sit in to question an entire worksheet. Maybe you do it in one session, but it's not a matter of how much time I spend in it. I'm not in a hurry. Like they don't care about me. That's, how do I react when I believe the thought? I'm going to, my whole life, how they say life flashes in front of you, meditating and they don't care about me. When I'm speaking of a specific group, let's say, and I'm sitting in that, is it true? And then I can see their faces. I can see, sitting at home alone, their faces. I can see the remarks that I think they're thinking about me. All of this, and is it true? And and then how do I react when I believe the thought? I can see like that few the image the featured image where they're going to tell other people, they're going to talk about me again. And I see the future where my reputation's ruined. And I see the future where people aren't speaking to me. You know, the ego just, and you see that in your mind's eye, and you can see how compelling the ego. And then you see the past where, you know, the same things only in reverse, where it has happened, and that movie going. So that's how I react. I meaning anyone that sits in inquiry, when I believe the thought, the ego has to offer up the movie of past, future, past, future. It's how, and then what is causing my emotions? Is it them, or is it this movie of past, future going on? So I am the cause of all emotional. I'm being image, egoed, image, imagination, imagining. So, you know, who am I without the thought? No, I wanted to move back a moment. So how do I react when I believe the thought? Everything I said, but then it goes into the movie of they don't care about me in the past. So now I've moved from one group to another group the ego is offering up as proof. So now I believed it then, I believe it now. So then that movie of then is cementing in the belief I'm holding now. So when you look back all the way from like kindergarten or preschool all the way up, they don't care about me. You know, all those things just kind of flood in. It's the ego just holding its position as object. And so it's so mind-blowing to sit in a really slowed down, is it true? How do I react when I believe the thought? And in that same situation, who would I be without it? It's nothing to rush, because it's not, as you mentioned earlier, it's not even a pill. It's I don't call it the work for nothing, and it takes stillness.
This reminds me so much of a psychology study that I read, and it was about the number of interrogations that led to confessions, police interrogations. And these police would interrogate these suspects and give them details from the past. And it got to the point that the suspect, even though they had no connection to a crime whatsoever, would ultimately start to believe that they committed a crime and then admit to it. And it's like just that seed of saying, like, you were here, you did this, like the ego actually started to believe what the police were telling them. And it's, you know, so much for us is that when we live in that past, when we live in that kind of rumination, augmented reality versus, you know, this is the truth, how does that shape the entire trajectory of our future?
Yeah. There's a moment in that scenario, let's say, where they're convincing me, like if I'm that they're convincing me, doing everything to convince me. And then there's that moment I believe it. And that's where the transfer takes place. So inquiry breaks that spell. Until then, like you, I am the identity. I'm guilty is my identity.
Now, Byron, is freedom is mental emotional freedom the ability to self-question? I'm curious what the word freedom means to you in the context of our mental and emotional health.
Balance is my thing. For me, just to answer your question, just raw, the absence of fear. It's a mediocre life. It's what people may see as a mediocre life. It's a life of balance, no more, no less, just balance. Am I good with am I good in my life? Good meaning balanced, comfortable. And this is beyond the physical. This is a state of mind we're talking about. And if I'm, if I'm walking, I'm in the kitchen, I'm walking by the kitchen sink, and there are dishes, dirty dishes in the sink, and I'm not okay with that, meaning it's his turn to do it. He knows it's his turn. We talked about it this morning, yada, yada, yada. So what I'm thinking and believing are the cause of my discomfort, not the dishes in the sink and not him. This is what I'm just walking through the kitchen, and the ego hits, we believe it, in other words, attached to it, then that's not balance. He is wrong and I am right, and it's not fair, and the simplest things. So inquiry, and you may have noticed it, Jenna, is it true becomes silent. It would be like I walk by the sink, the dishes are there, it's his turn to do it, everything, but I walk by the sink, all of that's there. But I'm awake to being dreamed by the ego. I'm not fooled. So it's like, it's his turn to do the dishes turns into, it's his turn to do the dishes. I have to do it all the time. I have to do it all the time. You hear the question mark on the end? It just becomes a part of like a secret life that is visible to anyone's eye over time, the absence of suffering in a human being that isn't attacking another human being.
It's breaking the prison of our mind.
Mm-hmm.
Very, because I mean, Buddhists really believe that all life is suffering, especially with judgment. And then, when you break free from that, you ultimately transcend. So I think there's some incredible similarities, but I don't, in looking at Buddhism, I don't know if they ever really gave people the tools that you've given people. Is how do you get into that
Some
rhythm?
people have referred to this as fifth peak Buddhism. I don't really know what that means, but it's the Four Noble Truths, as I've been told, is there's suffering in the world. I think we can all agree to that. There's a cause for suffering, second noble truth. And the cause of our suffering is what we're thinking and believing. There's a way out of this suffering. And for me, that is to question, identify the cause of suffering. What am I thinking and believing about you, me, them, it? And to question it. And then here's how they have is Buddhism. And what I was shown on the floor is the work. And I've had this is maybe just Buddhism with questions. I have no idea, but I could also say it's Protestant. It's that it's something and it's nothing, but it's beautiful, it's free, and it's without harm.
And that's the most important part.
Absolutely.
You had a bunch of, I think, questions.
I did. And one thing that keeps coming up for me is why are people avoid dealing with and thinking about uncomfortable thoughts and questions. Why is it that many people avoid certain thoughts? And if maybe something negative comes up, why is it that maybe for the most part they would turn away from that or avoid thinking about it?
Well, you could give me an example of some of those thoughts, but like what's an example? I mean, why do we avoid it? Because let's see, why would we avoid it?
Like maybe if there's something that's associated with a lot of pain, or maybe I've talked to my friends about this before, because I went to therapy for the first time this year, and I told some of my other girlfriends, oh, like it's helped me, maybe it'd be helpful for you, and they're like, oh no, I can't I can't sit there and talk about my feelings or sit there with my thoughts. Like that's uncomfortable. That's painful.
They say that because they really believe it. They're harboring things inside that they're not ready to speak of. It'd be horrifying for them to even consider it. Whereas you are on, it's time for you. It's, you understand the power of self-inquiry, of self-reflection.
Right. I guess that makes sense. And that also makes me think, what is the cause of all suffering? Why do people suffer? And is it only mental? Is it only emotional?
Well, if we look at how we react when we believe the thought, like he hurt my feelings, how do I react or they hurt my feelings, they don't care about me. The next time I meet one of them or go to that gathering again, I'm a whole different identity than the first time I went. I wasn't believing that onto them. So now they are making me feel uncomfortable. No, what I'm thinking and believing about them is making me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But when I question it, I don't know what they're thinking and believing, but what am I thinking and believing about them? Now that's the cause of my discontent. That's the cause of my problem with them is would be my unquestioned.
Katie, we obviously would love for people to engage with you more. I know that they can follow you on the website, and we'll put all that information in the show notes. Where else can people find you?
I do. I sit with people all over the world for 1 hour Pacific time, 9 to 10 a.m. And every morning we just hang out and do the work. And it's, it's a beautiful thing. I started in May. I canceled everything on my schedule, everything. It was a lot. Canceled it and began just to open to whatever contributions or nothing, and have continued that since March. And yeah, it's something beautiful. We just all sit together for an hour, and it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Gonna have to check that out.
I love that.
So we'll put all that information in the notes as well, so people can find you there. Any plans to travel again, or are you just kind of hunkered down for a while?
Well, I mind travel. I think we all do. I haven't made any commitments. Well, some commitments, but they're Zoom. So here we are.
More digital traveling.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
We appreciate what you do for us and for the globe, for the planet.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed our time together.